Let me ask you something. Why is it that so many women chase the bad guy? The one who doesn't text back, who makes her doubt herself, who seems completely impossible to control. And yet, when it's time to marry, suddenly that same woman turns around and chooses the nice guy, the dependable, safe, predictable guy. But here's the brutal twist most men don't want to hear. Some of those very same women, they cheat on that nice guy. Unfair? Absolutely. Confusing? No doubt. But it happens way more than most men realize. So what's going on here? Why do women date one type of man, marry another, and then sometimes betray the very man they claim to love? The answer isn't simple. It's not just about attraction. It's about psychology, instinct, and yes, the mistakes men make without even realizing it. And if you don't understand this cycle, you risk becoming the man she settles for, not the man she desires. So pay attention, because in the next few minutes, we're going deep. No sugarcoating, no cliches, just raw truth. The kind of truth that could save you from years of heartbreak and maybe even change the way you think about women forever. Here's the paradox most men hate to admit. Women are often drawn to the bad guy, but when it comes to marriage, they choose the nice guy. And on the surface, that makes zero sense, right? But dig deeper. The so-called bad guy radiates confidence, unpredictability, danger. He's a challenge. He makes her feel something, excitement, tension, even frustration. And whether you want to believe it or not, emotions drive attraction way more than logic ever will. Meanwhile, the nice guy, he's safe, he's dependable, he's stable. On paper, he's exactly what society tells her she should want. He provides security, and yes, that matters when she's thinking about a future, kids, or long-term stability. But here's the catch most men never realize. Stability alone doesn't ignite desire. Security doesn't make her crave you. It doesn't make her stay up at night thinking about you. So what happens? She spends her early years chasing the thrill, dating the bad guy who keeps her guessing. Then, when she's ready to settle down, she picks the safe guy, the reliable one, the one she knows won't break her heart. But here's the dangerous twist. If that spark is missing, if there's no fire, no polarity, deep down she starts craving the very thing she ran from, excitement. And that's when the cheating happens. Not always, but often enough that it's a pattern men can't afford to ignore. Now listen, this isn't about women being manipulative or evil. It's bigger than that. It's biology, it's psychology, it's social conditioning. It's the push and pull between safety and passion that almost every woman wrestles with, even if she'd never admit it out loud. So the real question for you is this: how do you become the man who can give her both? The thrill that makes her feel alive and the security that makes her feel safe. Because the man who masters that balance, he's the man she never leaves. He's the man she desires and respects. And if you don't figure this out, you risk being the guy she settles for, or worse, the guy she betrays. Let's dig deeper into the psychology of attraction, because this is where most men completely miss the point. Attraction isn't just about looks. It isn't just about money. Those things help, sure, but they're not the engine that drives desire. Attraction is about energy, presence, the emotional spark you create. So why do bad boys always seem to win in the early game? It's simple. They create emotional highs and lows. They're unpredictable. One moment, they're all in, giving her attention, and the next, they're pulling it away. That push and pull, that roller coaster, it lights up the brain's reward system like a slot machine in Vegas. The dopamine rush is addictive. Just like gambling, just like scrolling TikTok, you never know what's coming next. And that unpredictability makes it impossible to look away. Now compare that to the classic nice guy. Predictable, always available, always texting back immediately, always saying yes. On paper, he looks like husband material, but emotionally, he's flat. No charge, no challenge, no edge. And when there's no emotional spark, attraction doesn't just fade, it dies. Here's the twist most men never get. Women don't actually want the toxic bad boy. What they crave is the feeling that bad boys give them. Confidence, presence, dominance, a sense of challenge. They want the fire without the poison. So what's the solution? It's not to turn yourself into an arrogant jerk. That's fake. That's short-term. The real solution is balance. You need to carry strength, boundaries, purpose, the kind of energy that says, I don't need you to complete me, but I choose you. And at the same time, you need to show care, empathy, stability, so she knows you're grounded. Because here's the brutal truth. Women want the thrill of the chase and the safety of a strong anchor. If you only give one without the other, you lose. So ask yourself right now, are you giving her a reason to feel alive, to crave you, to respect you, to want you? Or are you just giving her a reason to feel safe? Because if it's only safety, sooner or later, she'll go looking for fire somewhere else. Here's where things get complicated. Why does the shift happen in marriage? Why do some women date the bad boy but marry the nice guy, only to later feel unfulfilled or even cheat? It comes down to one brutal truth: survival versus desire. When it's dating, emotion runs the show. She's drawn to the bad boy because he sparks something primal: excitement, tension, the thrill of unpredictability. He makes her feel alive. But marriage? Marriage is often a calculation. Who's stable? Who's reliable? Who can provide? Suddenly, the nice guy, the one she overlooked before, becomes the practical choice, the safe bet, the man who looks good on paper. But here's the catch most men ignore. Desire doesn't vanish just because vows are exchanged. That same spark that once pulled her toward the bad boy still exists inside her. Marriage may offer security, but without passion, that security can start to feel less like comfort and more like a cage. And this is where the silent danger creeps in. She has the stability of the nice guy at home, but deep down, she's starving for something more. For fire, for unpredictability, for the thrill she once felt. And if she doesn't find that in her husband, temptation begins to whisper in her ear. Now pause and think about it. How many marriages collapse not because of money, not because of kids, not because of stress at work, but because one partner feels emotionally starved? Here's the painful truth. The shift happens because too many men think marriage is the finish line. They believe once they've won the girl, the game is over. So they let their edge slip. They trade presence for routine, ambition for comfort, passion for autopilot. And slowly, quietly, she drifts away. Let me be clear, marriage doesn't kill passion. Complacency does. It's not the ring on her finger that suffocates attraction. It's the moment you stop being the man she chose and turn into the man she merely settled for. And here's the kicker. Women notice it before you do, long before. That's why some end up longing for the same thrill they once felt with the bad boy. That's why some stray. So if you take anything from this, let it be this. Marriage is not the end of the chase. It's the beginning of a deeper one. And if you forget that, you risk losing her, even while she's still lying next to you every night. Cheating doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It's not always about lust or someone being evil. Most of the time, it's about unmet needs. Think about it. A woman might love the stability the nice guy gives her, the house, the safety, the commitment. On paper, she has everything she ever wanted. But deep inside, if she feels emotionally disconnected, unheard, or worse, invisible, she starts to crave what's missing. And here's the brutal truth most men don't want to hear. People rarely cheat to gain something new. They cheat to feel something they've lost. So why does it happen? Because the so-called nice guy falls into a dangerous trap. He thinks doing everything right, paying the bills, staying loyal, being supportive, is enough. But in the process, he forgets the spark. He forgets to flirt. He forgets to lead. He forgets how to make her heart race. And before he knows it, she feels like she's living with a roommate, not a lover. Now, pause here for a second. How many times have you heard a woman say, "He's a good man, but something's missing"? That something is what sends her looking for it elsewhere. Here's the kicker. The bad boy, even if he's reckless, even if he's toxic, brings passion. He gives her highs and lows, fire and chaos. He makes her feel alive in ways the safe, predictable nice guy doesn't. And if her marriage feels like nothing but routine, that temptation gets louder and louder until it drowns out everything else. But here's what men need to understand. Cheating isn't just betrayal. It's a symptom of passion being replaced with routine, of connection being replaced with silence, of desire being replaced with comfort. And the mistake? Believing that loyalty and security alone can hold a relationship together. The raw truth? A relationship can survive without comfort, but it cannot survive without desire. Because without that spark, without that emotional intimacy, even the most loyal marriage is a house of cards, waiting for the right temptation to blow it all down. So ask yourself, are you giving her just stability? Or are you also giving her fire? Because one without the other is the perfect recipe for betrayal. Let's get real for a second. Nice guys don't lose because they're kind. Kindness is a strength. The problem is they confuse being nice with being needed, and that's a deadly mistake. So what mistakes do they actually make? First, they put her on a pedestal. They treat her like the prize, while forgetting they're a prize too. And what happens when you worship someone? You shrink. You give too much, expect too little, and before long, you're not her partner anymore. You're her servant. And here's the brutal truth. Women don't fall in love with servants. They use them. Respect evaporates. Attraction dies. Second, they avoid conflict. They think keeping the peace will keep her happy. But here's the thing. Peace without honesty isn't peace. It's quiet resentment. A woman may smile, nod, play along, but deep down, she feels unheard, invisible, neglected. And trust me, when she feels invisible at home, she won't stay invisible forever. She'll go find someone who sees her. Third, they lose their edge. In the beginning, they had fire. They had passion, drive, confidence. They chased their goals. They had a backbone. They had a spark. But once they feel secure, they stop leading. They stop chasing their dreams. They start orbiting her world instead of building their own. And that's when the shift happens. The same man who once turned her on becomes the man she's bored of. Let me ask you this. How many times have you heard the phrase, "He changed after we got married"? That change isn't just about dirty socks on the floor or putting on weight. It's about a man losing his identity, losing his polarity, forgetting what made him attractive in the first place. And here's the biggest mistake of all, thinking that being agreeable is enough, that if you never fight, never challenge, never stand your ground, you'll keep her love. But relationships aren't built on comfort alone. They're built on respect, on attraction, on polarity. Because here's the harsh truth. When a man stops leading, stops inspiring, stops keeping the spark alive, he doesn't just risk losing her respect. He risks handing her desire to someone else. And the scariest part? He won't even see it coming, because he's too busy thinking he's doing everything right. So how do you avoid falling into the nice guy trap? First, stop chasing approval. The moment your self-worth depends on her validation, you've already surrendered your power. A woman should add to your life, not define it. Think about it. If you're bending over backward for her attention, who's actually leading the relationship? You or your need for her to like you? Second, lead with confidence, not compliance. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not barking orders or pretending to be tough. It's standing tall in who you are, making decisions without fear, and not crumbling when there's disagreement. Ask yourself, do you want her respect or just her temporary comfort? Because comfort fades, respect lasts. Third, never lose your edge. Keep chasing your goals. Keep building your body, your mind, your purpose. Attraction isn't built on stagnation. It's built on motion, growth, fire. The moment you stop evolving, the relationship doesn't just plateau, it decays. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't keep moving forward, she'll start looking for someone who does. Fourth, balance kindness with strength. Be generous, but not a doormat. Be loving, but not spineless. When you give without boundaries, you're not being noble, you're being disposable. Respect yourself enough to say no when you need to, and you'll be surprised how much more she respects you for it. Because at the end of the day, women don't want a man who's flawless. They don't even want a man who's perfect. They want a man who's real, grounded, confident, unshaken by the storms around him. So here's the question you need to face. Are you living as the man she looks up to? The man she can't stop thinking about? The man she fears losing? Or are you living as the man she quietly settles for, while secretly wondering if she deserves more? That choice is on you. Now take a second and be brutally honest with yourself. Are you living as the man who commands respect, who sets the tone, who carries himself with purpose? Or are you the man who just hopes for love, quietly waiting for scraps of affection, afraid to rock the boat? Think about it. Every single choice you make, the way you carry yourself, the standards you set, the boundaries you refuse to break, it all sends a message. To her, to the world, to yourself. And here's the hard truth most men never face. If you don't define who you are, life and women will define it for you. So the real question is, will you keep playing small, repeating the same mistakes, hiding behind excuses? Or will you finally step into the man you were meant to be? The man she can't ignore. The man the world can't forget. Because deep down, you already know, playing safe has never changed anyone's life.